The promotion went to someone who joined 2 years after Vikram, someone whose work he'd quietly covered for more than once. And losing it wasn't the worst part. That was the problem. Now your brain wants resolution. Give me a second. We'll get there. Here's what Vikram didn't understand yet, and what took me years to understand myself. The promotion wasn't stolen from him. It was never available to him in the first place. Not because his work was bad, not because he was invisible in the way you're picturing. He was invisible in a very specific way, and there's a mechanism behind it. Most professionals believe the same equation: do good work, get noticed, and get rewarded. It feels fair. It feels like how the world is supposed to work. That equation is missing a variable. Between do good work and get noticed, there's a gap. And in that gap, a completely different game is being played. Not by the loudest person in the room, not by the office politician you can spot from the corridor, by people who are warm, helpful, who never create a scene because scenes are evidence. There are three of them. You already know all three, you just haven't named them yet. Let's fix that. Last quarter, Vikram ran a project that should have broken. 3 departments, a vendor crisis midway through. He pulled it back together and delivered 2 weeks early. Client happy, team relieved. Vikram, for once, let himself feel good about it. Then the recap email went out. He read it once, then again, then a third time, because somewhere in that email, his name had quietly gotten smaller. He didn't know why yet. While Vikram was managing the crisis, someone else was managing the story. They didn't lead the project. They didn't touch the vendor miss. They showed up after and wrote the version everyone upstairs would remember. Leadership doesn't remember your labor. They remember whoever narrated it to them last. The narrator usually isn't malicious. They've just figured out something the rest of us learned too late. The person who controls the post-event narrative has more organizational power than the person who solved the problem. Be honest with yourself for a second. Think about the last project you actually carried. Who wrote the summary? Who presented it upstairs? If the answer isn't you, that's not a small thing. That's the gap we just talked about. Priya joined 18 months ago. From day one, she was generous, shared credit publicly, offered help before you asked, pulled you into conversations you didn't expect to be part of. It felt like kindness. Some of it probably was. But every one of those moments was also being logged somewhere. And Vikram didn't find that out until the day Priya needed something back. Here's the tell. Watch what happens the moment the collector needs something that actually costs you. The warmth doesn't disappear, but the ask lands heavier, harder to refuse. Because the groundwork was laid months ago, and you're only feeling the weight of it now. This is the part that's hard to accept. Genuine kindness and strategic generosity look identical in the moment. They feel the same, right up until you try to say no. This one's different. The narrator frames the story after it happens. The collector builds obligation over time. The gatekeeper controls access, right now, in real time. Usually not a peer, a layer above, a senior manager, a project lead, someone standing between Vikram and the people who decide his trajectory. And here's the strange part. They never block him directly. That would be visible. They just don't include him. The strategy meeting happens without him. The email thread doesn't have his name on it. Oh, it was last minute, I didn't think to loop you in. Each exclusion on its own is small enough to shrug off. But 12 months of it, 18, visibility compounds like interest. Every meeting you're not in isn't just one meeting. It's one more data point in someone's mental model of who matters around here. Here's what makes this one hard to fight. The gatekeeper doesn't look like an adversary. They look busy, overwhelmed, apologetic. Sorry, I should have looped you in. Should have. They won't. Because their influence depends on being the bridge. And bridges stop mattering the moment there's a second one. You cannot fight what you refuse to name. So let's name all three, and then let's talk about the 3 sentences that undo them. 3 tools, not theory, things you can use tomorrow morning. And by the end of this, you're going to want to write down 3 exact sentences. Hold that thought. Step 1, see it. Stop assuming that because you'd never operate this way, no one around you is. Who writes the recap after every project? If it's never you, you're being narrated. Who offers help consistently, and where does that help get referenced later? If there's a pattern, you're somewhere in a ledger you've never seen. Who's in the room when decisions get made and who isn't? Track it for 1 month. The pattern surfaces on its own. Step 2, name it to yourself clearly without softening it. This person is framing the story to their advantage. This person is building obligation through strategic generosity. This person is controlling access to leadership. You don't have to say it to them yet. You have to stop pretending you don't see it. Step 3, own it. Most advice fails here. It tells you to get political, fight fire with fire, or it tells you to rise above it, keep your head down, trust the work. Both are incomplete. Owning it means two things: own your narrative and own your visibility. Not by becoming someone you don't recognize, by becoming someone who understands the game and still plays it with integrity. Here they are, the 3 sentences for the narrator. Before we wrap up, I want to add some context on the timeline and where the key decisions actually happened, just so leadership has the full picture. Calm, professional, you're not attacking anyone, you're reclaiming the narrative in real time. For the collector, let me think about it and get back to you. 6 words. They buy you time. They break the automatic reciprocity response before it fires. For the gatekeeper, after the exclusion happens, again, I noticed I wasn't on that thread. What's the best way for me to stay in the loop on this going forward? 3 things happen at once. It names the exclusion professionally, it puts the fix back on them, and it creates a record so if it happens a second time, the pattern is hard to deny. The narrator, the collector, the gatekeeper, not villains, just people who noticed the game earlier than you did. The difference between them and you was never talent, never effort, never ethics. It was awareness. They're playing a game they understand. You were on the same field without knowing there was a game at all. The cost compounds. Every project someone else narrated, every meeting you weren't in. Over 5 years, 10 years, the gap between what you built and what you got credit for becomes a canyon. Bikram didn't get that promotion, but 6 months later, he wasn't in the same position either. Not because the room finally saw him, but because he'd stopped waiting for it to. See the patterns, name them clearly, own your narrative before someone else writes it for you. Which of the 3 have you met? Drop it in the comments. Naming it out loud is the first step. See you next week.